your best side. Always go there. It's just, look at your life, America. Look at your life. Please look at your life, America. You gotta look at it. Pause and reflect.
Can we go back one more time? I apologize. Marvel Geekify says number 2 kind of looks like Jessica Burbank, and it does kind of look a little bit like Jessica Burbank. But anyway, I think they're gonna go with 3 because 1 and 2, she's just on the horse. In 3, she's in motion, and I think they like the idea that she's like running down a dog with her horse or something. I think they'll choose that one. But anyway, there were some critical comments. Kathy Law says, "Where's the dog? Oh, that's right, you shot him. Yeah, he doesn't merit the portrait." Lala Lynn says, "The one where you're shooting your pets, used to love you, so disappointing." I like that one because that apparently is the right winger, I guess. And the real Nick B says, "Maybe the one with the flood and you doing nothing about it, and maybe a kid floating by," which is very, very dark. But again, Nick, you're being rude. Don't remind her that she technically has a job to be doing. This is about having fun. She's lived laughing and loving. She's living her best life and taking up an important position while doing it. Anyway, that's unfortunate.
Did she get her purse back? Sorry.
I don't know if she ever ended up getting the purse.
I'm just curious.
Back. I don't know.
And the thousands of dollars that were in her purse.
That people just carry in cash. That's a normal thing to do. Anyway, that said, that's all the time we have. Thank you as always for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you more.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, that's it for Big News Wednesday. Tomorrow, I believe Schuster is gonna be joining us, so it should be a lot of fun. We're gonna have big news and everything. For now though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome back to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. I'm Sharon Reed, and for Doc today, alongside our special guest co-host, Jackson White, who's with us from Chicago today. Let's get to some of your comments about the National Guard in LA charging a playground. Here's what Bubba Franks, the sword dragon, has to say. Berlin itself was a liberal city. It was punished. Strange when you think about it, but it was before all that went down. Good history lesson. V. Brown says, I never thought it would get worse than the pandemic. It did, V. Justice Now says ICE agents are clearly members of the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, 3%ers, and J6ers in disguise, given license to terrorize innocent people. Well, we have no independent confirmation of that. I do feel it's my responsibility to say that. But Justice Now, that's your comment. And some may agree with you. About Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, nominating Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Professor Bite says, use the military on your own people. Yeah, I would nominate you too. And there's some kind of monkey emoji with a tongue sticking out. Salvi Dragon says, Obama lives rent-free in Trump's head. I love it.
That ain't never gonna stop.
That's never gonna stop.
Like that ex you just can't get over.
That's right. I would know.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, Embedded Dude says, BB realizes that Trump is an 80-year-old infant. Very easy to manipulate. They read him like that. You don't have to be like ex-KGB or a FBI profiler to figure it out. Next, TYT reporter, prison officials are abusing inmates. They deserve negative public consequences. That's how it's supposed to work. Yep. One more for you, Bernie, the Kiwi Dragon. Throw time, conservative SCOTUS justices in prison. Don't allow them to sue prison officers. How would you feel? I know Clarence Thomas would make it one night, okay? Because in prison, he'd be a brown man. Okay, you wouldn't have that robe to protect him. But you know, what's good for the goose? How's it go? What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Something gander.
Like that. Okay, something like
gander
that.
And goose and geese.
Okay, and I think but basically, what's good for them. Well, let's get off of that one, okay? Because I'm not clear on it right now. I've got a little brain fog. The point is, you can make laws for everybody else. Well, you can interpret those laws for everybody else, but you is basically what that last commenter said. It's just the way some people work, which leads us seamlessly into this next segment because this is what they be doing. You go somewhere and you call a Karen out of their name. See what happens. You ask them what they're doing here, okay? Ask them where are they coming from and see what happens to you, okay? It's the way the world works and they believe they own it. I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
You're still free! Back off! I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Do I even live here?
Do you even live here, for real?
What'd you just call me?
I called you
Okay. Listen, you blowing your horn. Everybody.
Yeah, you see me?
Everybody's.
Give me your phone, give me your phone.
Everybody's asleep right now.
What are you?
Bro.
Well, that's what I thought. Huh? Do you live here? Give me your phone. Come here.
Okay, listen.
No,
are you okay?
Listen to you.
Why are you blowing your horn?
Because why are you calling a disturbance with me, bro?
I'm asking you why you're blowing your horn.
Why are you calling a disturbance, huh?
I'm calling a disturbance with
Do you
you.
live here?
I do.
You do? What's your apartment number, huh?
Listen, I'm on the yachts.
Oh, you're on the yacht, so you're a brokey. Go, let's get to the apartments. You can go sleep on the boat. Go stuff.
I'm not even sure. I don't know where to begin with it. I'll give you some background though. The poster of the clip wrote the following on TikTok. My friend was in his yacht when he heard a commotion in the building of nonstop blaring car horns. He went to make sure that no one was in harm's way and ran into this guy. Clearly, he's intoxicated by the slurring of his words. More importantly, he's calling my friend the N-word when he asked him if he's okay. He also dropped his phone out of his car when he left. This was in Marina Del Rey, California on July 6th around midnight. I was expecting it to be more like 3 in. I'll be honest with you, Jackson. Usually when people start having these nonsensical conversations and acting like turds, it's well past midnight. I mean, we're into the wee hours. Okay, that's when the turds come out, or the Karens. What do you make of this? Yeah, they had me at yacht. I won't say how they had me, but they had me at the word yacht. But you weigh in if you can.
Well, I mean, it's just another day in America. My man's had a couple of drinks and he just started going off. And obviously that's his building. He owns it. So he has to know everybody that's in there because, it's his responsibility at the end of the day. And also, as was pointed out, you're being a little loud, brother. Like it's people trying to go to bed in here. So while he's trying to solve one problem, he's creating another, which just goes to show how resourceful he is. You feel me? Like he's a resourceful man. He can get multiple things done at once. But yeah, that's what can you say? I think he handled it well at the end of the day. It's something. Well, just lastly, like it's hard to really get mad at stuff like that because it's so stupid. And I mean, what you going? I don't know. I mean, that to me was not worthy of like throwing your hands. You just kind of laugh at that.
You laugh at it. Do you think he got his phone back? Was the phone returned?
Well, if not, I hope he has good insurance.
He's got a yacht, bruh. Come on. All right, we'll move on to this. A Black General Mills worker fired over calling out offensive flyers. L. Lee Tyus Jr., former Black General Mills employee in St. Paul, Minnesota, is suing the company after he was fired for objecting to flyers that were placed in the break room. What was in the break room? How bad was it? Well, the flyers in the break room, were about Black atrocities in America during Black History Month. The flyers were labeled as, quote, fun facts about Black history, in red, black, and green, which are the colors of the Pan-African flag. Tyus filed the lawsuit on June 27th for racial discrimination and retaliation against the company. Am I going to have to stop eating certain cereals? We'll see. We'll see. Flyers in the break room referenced events like the Tulsa massacre, Tyus said. The flyers struck him as tone deaf and dehumanizing, prompting him to file the lawsuit. Tyus also asked if similar tragedies involving white people would ever be presented as, quote, fun. I doubt it, but for those who do need a reminder of the Tulsa massacre, this 100-plus-year-old mass murder, here you go.
On June 1st, 1921, 9-year-old Eldoris McCondichie was awakened by her mother. What her mother said next, she never forgot.
She says, we have to go out, get out. She says, the white people are killing the colored people.
Eldoris grew up in the Greenwood area of Tulsa, a buoyant, bustling community of some 10,000 African Americans. There were schools, churches, stores, theaters, and a hospital.
It was a place where, for African Americans, the American dream was working.
The residents of Greenwood try to defend their neighborhood, but they don't have a chance. The National Guard sprays the residents with machine gun fire, and it gets worse.
You have something new up in the air, and its airplanes start flying over Greenwood. There is evidence, and I believe this firmly, that at least on one of the airplanes, a co-pilot is dropping sticks of dynamite down on Greenwood.
Greenwood is left a smoldering ruin. 9,000 people left homeless. The dead uncounted. Estimates range from 75 to 300.
From prosperity to murder to ruins, mass graves. Is that a fun fact? Apparently for someone it is. The attack on Black Wall Street, for instance, was one of the deadliest acts of racial violence in US history. More than 100 years ago, white mob attacked the prosperous Black neighborhood of Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, killing an estimated 100 to 300 Black residents, destroying more than 1,000 homes, leveling dozens of Black-owned businesses. And these prosperous Blacks who were living the American dream at the time actually paid their premiums too. And then insurance companies, many who live in some form today, refused to pay them their claims, calling it a riot instead of mass murder. Tyus, who is Black, said he found the flyers deeply painful and offensive and questioned whether horrors and abuses against white Americans would be posted and shared in the same way. Tyus claims he was told flyers with horror stories about white people would just be labeled American tragedies instead of, quote, fun facts. Tyus' lawsuit argues that his termination wasn't because of policy violations, but instead was pushback from a Black employee raising concerns in a white-dominated corporate company. His performance reviews were deemed as on track just a few weeks before he was put on leave. He must have fell off. Must have stopped doing his job, I guess.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden. Tyus submitted a formal complaint through the company's internal ethics platform. On that same day, he was placed on involuntary leave and told to submit medical documentation if he wanted to return. After learning he was being placed on an involuntary leave, Tyus Jr. responded that he was being retaliated against for my beliefs and isn't being allowed back to work, which feels like an injustice, the complaint states. When his leave ended, Tyus discovered his building access had been deactivated. With his supervisor's approval, Tyus created a document listing the employee relations lead's contact information and placed copies on the same break room tables where the original flyers had appeared. Less than a month later, March 19th, he was escorted out of the building and fired. General Mills cited, quote, multiple violations of General Mills' standards of conduct and policies, according to the lawsuit. Now, the lawsuit filed by Storms Dwark LLC claims General Mills violated the Minnesota Human Rights Act by retaliating against Tyus for reporting racially offensive materials. It seems at least $50,000 in damages for each of the 3 counts, along with attorney's fees and civil fine. General Mills has declined to comment on the specifics of the case, but issued a brief statement through multiple outlets, quote, while we do not comment on pending litigation, here we go commenting. I can share that General Mills does not tolerate discrimination or retaliation, unless we do. I added that last part because I think it's warranted, unless and until we do. Jackson, none of this surprises me, right? Company A claims that they are interested in diversity, don't discriminate, workplace free of harassment, and then the minute you step through the threshold and you take your badge, you go boop. You clock in boop because they know what time you come in. All hell breaks loose, and they do all of it. They do every bit of it. And this is not a unique story, unfortunately. It's not unique. What did you take from it?
Well, I mean, it just seems like a silly reason to fire somebody. Like at the end of the day, you could just change it from fun fact to fact or something like that, and just been like, wow. Oh, okay, you know what? Like how it would have made you look, like you got some empathy, or at least like, it would have made you look pretty good if you're like, well, you know what? Actually, you're right. Let's change that up. It's a good quality and a good trait to have. And you can acknowledge not even maybe that you're wrong, but that I made a mistake. I made an error in judgment. You got to baby steps up into admitting that you're wrong. But I mean, yeah, it's not surprising, but also, again, just a very petty thing to fire somebody about.
It's true. They turned it into a teachable moment. Take out one word, F-U-N. And right, now
that's all you got to do.
Right. Take out F-U-N. And now it appears that they're squared off and only the N is missing. And somebody's going to get, someone's going to prevail and someone's going to get, fill in the gap. Now we'll move on to this one. Cop fired after body slamming a Black woman during a traffic stop Here's video of that incident that the officer got fired for.
Out here, okay, to be able to ask and know what I'm getting pulled over for. Yeah, and what am I stepping out the vehicle? Speeding is the only reason we need. Understandable, yeah, and I get that. That's not a problem. But
yeah. Ma'am, right now you're under arrest for reckless driving.
Wait, what's going on? Wait, hold on, wait, what's going on?
Right now you're under arrest.
What's going on?
The fuck you up? Get off the ground.
No, wait, just wait.
And I know exactly where this is in Georgia. Try not to visit too often. According to Atlanta Black Star, it was only after Jasmine Taylor told the Georgia cops who had violently arrested her that her partner had recorded the arrest that they decided to release her from jail with no charges. Wow. But that was only after she spent 2 nights in jail on a misdemeanor charge of reckless driving. Then once the 26-year-old Black woman was released from jail, she uploaded the videos to TikTok, where they have since gone viral, exposing the Woodstock police officers for lying in their police reports, accusing her of fighting the cops. This is Cherokee County. In case you're not from these parts, I just want you to have full awareness of what goes on in certain parts of Georgia and other places. The incident took place June 29th as Taylor was working for Instacart, delivering a food order to a customer. Her partner was in the back seat when she was pulled over for speeding, accused of driving 51 in a 25-mile-per-hour speed zone. I explained to them that I understood that I'd been speeding. I was just trying to get the order taken care of so I could go get some gas because I was low, Taylor described. She said she handed the cops her information and they walked back to the patrol car for a few minutes before the female cop returned and ordered her out of the car without explaining why. So I was confused and I asked her why and told her, I've never been arrested. Why do I have to get out of the car? What's going on? But the cop kept demanding that she step out of the car. You know, I don't gotta tell you anything. Once out of the car, she was told to walk to the back of the car where she continued conversing with a female cop, asking why they were escalating a routine traffic stop for speeding. I was asking her, why is he being so aggressive? I've never even been pulled over. I'm a military veteran. I have a clean background. You'll see that. It's on my ID. It's on my license, Taylor said. And before I could say anything else to her, he interrupted me and said, you're under arrest. And he slammed me to the ground and said, I'm about to F you up. Only the best people, folks. Once she was sitting in the back of the patrol car with her hands cuffed behind her back, she said she heard the cops speaking through an open window. I heard every single thing that they were saying about the situation of how he handled it and saying that they were not going to put in their report. So they ended up calling over the radio and saying that I fought the cop. So additional officers arrived on scene, she recalled. Oh, she's very lucky to be alive. I say that quite clearly, emphatically. She was jailed on a $1,000 bond, she says, but 2 days later, a cop told her she was being released with no bond because the charges had been dismissed. Say what? This happened only after she had informed them that her partner had recorded the arrest on video, Taylor recalled. They told me I could go home, and I asked if my bond was made, and they said no. They dropped the charges. You should be happy, she said. But I told them that I'm going to sue. Under the circumstances, I might have waited until I would have called them after I got home in a different jurisdiction and told them I was going to sue, because these people are, well, there's some problems. If all of this bears out, and it looks like it does. One of the first things she did in her fight for justice was upload the videos to her TikTok channel, where they have been viewed and shared thousands of times. Instacart customers she was delivering to that night never received their food, but Taylor said she explained the situation to the company and they allowed her to continue working. They understood and apologized for what happened, she said, but she never received an apology from the cops who violently arrested her. However, Woodstock Police Department said Thursday it has fired Officer Justin Davis after a use of force investigation determined he violated the department's use of force policy. He's a buffoon and a criminal. I don't know why he was fired. First things first, it's more important to arrest him, to adjudicate him, and to the woman who was on the scene with him in uniform. Adjudicate both of them. Why is she still on the force? That's missing. I'm so tired of hearing about people like former Officer Justin Davis down in Woodstock with his aggression, violence, and probably racism. I think it's okay to say that from what we see here and what I've just told you about Woodstock, I don't go there after dark. And I'm very serious about that because I fear things like this happening. Why do we allow things like statements from the Woodstock Police Department, Jackson, that say things like, we had a use of force investigation and we fired him, end of story? It's a cop-out, if you will, no pun intended. I want to see somebody's face come before the cameras and talk about this despicable nonsense we just saw here. What say you?
I mean, how telling is it that the charges are dropped and they're like, oh, you can go ahead and leave as soon as they found out that she had recorded the video. That also shows that they likely do this type of stuff often when they feel like they can get away with it. Maybe they're just bored. Maybe they think that that's gonna spice up their night a little bit. But anytime somebody slammed to the ground or falls to the ground, if you hit your head the wrong way, that could be all types of trouble. That could be the end for you. You never know. So this was just reckless all the way around, unnecessary. She wasn't causing any real issues. And she acknowledged that she was speeding. So like she was giving you plenty to work with, like, okay, yeah, I was speeding. I shouldn't have been doing that. This is why, if you needed to give her a ticket, then you could have done that and it would have been just fine. If you're going like 30 miles over the speed limit, then what argument do you really have? And it's not like she was saying, I shouldn't get a ticket. She was just like, yeah, but this is why I was doing it. So they could have just gave her a ticket and went on about their night and it wouldn't have been no type of real issue. But, you go from writing a ticket to body slamming somebody. They thought they were going to have something. Yeah. But now they have, this woman has a solid case against this police department because this was just.
Well, will you heed the warning? I told you, if you're in these parts, don't go to Woodstock. You understand? Now, maybe you'll go anyway, Jackson, but I'd like to know that you'll heed my warning as your friend.
I ain't going to know Woodstock.
Thank you. That's important to know. I want to make one other point. I hear often from people who perhaps have a different experience that, well, just be good, just comply, don't, raise your ire or argue. She didn't do any of that, really. She was very courteous. She even played the I'm a veteran. She's an ex-military card. None of that helped here. So while I would advise not to get smart with police officers because it's just going to perhaps make it worse, it doesn't mean it's going to not make it worse either, okay? I remember being in my 20s and driving home from work one day and I was pulled over, speeding or something. And the officer came to my window and I handed him some documents, and he said, where are you coming from? And I remember I was in my 20s or early 20s and I said, none of your business. Like that. And he explained to me, I wasn't tased or pepper sprayed. He explained to me, well, the only reason we ask these kinds of things is because there's a lot of people who are inebriated and we like to find out, that helps us engage them in conversation and we find out if they're liquored up. Just looked at him. He said, so you want to tell me where you come from? I said, no, none of your business. They gave me a ticket and I went on my way. Okay? I don't advise you to tell them none of your business and this and that. But I'm just telling you, it might not make a difference. Okay? She was very good. She complied. This is Indisputable. Jackson White is our special guest co-host today. I'm Sharon Reed. We're in for Doc. Much more to come. Stay with us.
Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN. Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
I'm wearing one of our pieces of merchandise. So the funny thing about the Dragon Squad, and that's what our viewers call themselves. That's the name of the group, but every individual chooses their own name. You might have Cincinnati Dragon. You might have Harry Potter Dragon. We have a Grandma Sunshine Dragon is one of those that I remember. These are people that like to have an element of themselves, their lives, what's significant to them reflected as a part of the community. But the concept of the Dragon Squad is just something I threw away as a joke. I was mocking the Proud Boys, these like right-wing groups that come up with a name for themselves that they think is cool, but it's actually really lame. And I thought, off the top of my head, I can come up with something that's still kind of lame, but much cooler. And so I threw out Dragon Squad, and I just moved on with my life. But everybody liked it, and so they kept it going, and so we've embraced it. And I think again, this was during the period of the pandemic. I think it was sort of nice to have a renewed sense of community, a feeling that you're a part of something when everything seems so chaotic. And as a result of that, we've got independent artists online streaming, making beautiful digital art of dragons. We've got, we've released a number of pieces of merchandise that people love sending us photos of them. And then by the way, for me personally, people send me, like you can probably see in the background, like a knitted dragon someone sent me. There's a dragon book they sent me, dragon board games they send me. People have done like custom ironworks, making dragon bottle openers. Like the fans are super invested in diamond art and things like that. And so it's great that they send this stuff. Sometime we're gonna have to set up a wall of all of it. But yeah, it's definitely brought the community a lot closer together. The fact that we were no longer in this big studio, I felt a lot more personally attached to people. It felt very immediate. And I know that I personally needed the connection.
Welcome back to Indisputable. I am Sharon Reed, in for Dr. Richie today, alongside my good friend, Jackson White, okay, who we love being on the program. He's coming to us from Chicago today. He's got lots of great projects. How are your projects going? And we love watching you on YouTube and everything else you do.
They're going well. I'm going back to St. Louis on the 18th. I'll be there for about a week and a half to wrap up the rest of my in-person interviews for this documentary I'm working on about America's infrastructure system, focusing on the tornado that came through St. Louis May 16th. I've been talking to city officials, people on city council, people who are the head of development at the Urban League there, business owners, survivors, all types of people. So after that, I should be done with filming, and then I just got to get it edited, and then I'll be putting it out.
Well, we're very proud of you. And safe travels. Tell Ashanti and Nelly we said hi as well. These newlyweds.
They home. If they home, I'll see
if
what's
they're
up.
home. We'll see. Let's get to some of your comments now, TYT members first, about the Karen and the yacht and the whole situation. It was just unseemly. Next, TYT reporter says, dude honking his horn in the parking structure says, you are the disturbance. Duh. I added the duh. It's really not that hard when you're not drunk. X-Dog, the security dragon, somebody must have got a new pew-pew and was begging to use it on a dark guy. The devil is just counting the Karens that will join him in the future. Does the devil want company? If you're a believer in that. General Mills, Bernie the Kiwi Dragon says this about the ex-employee suing for discrimination over those fun facts about Black trauma and mass murder in America. Oh, Tyus, you must know better than to hold your white contemporaries to account, right? It's a question he probably is asking himself now. He knew it was going to go this way, but I applaud the effort anyway. Tone Loke 3000, Minnesota, nice equal passive-aggressive, nonchalant racism. Okay, Tone Loke, it appears you may have some experience in Minnesota and you're sharing, much as I did about Woodstock. Cop fired. What did I serve for says, she a security guard, should apply to be a cop. There's an opening, after all. Should be a lot more openings. Our luck, though, the fired cop will end up in LA joining militarization of a kids' park. One more. I'll go back to what did I serve for? You ain't kidding, Sharon. How many times have we seen these cops arrest or rearrest someone the moment they say they will sue or file a complaint? Shouldn't have to come to that, but you're right. You're right. Now, let's stick with our law enforcement theme for now and go down to Florida, where a cop there arrested a man, a Black man, for trespassing on his own property. Florida deputy drives onto a Black couple's property and questions why they're sitting in front of the house. And we have a treat for you. We have the video.
That's crazy what he got going on. You come pulling our property and tell us get our ID.
Y'all own this property?
What's the thing? We here, ain't we?
That doesn't mean you own it.
We own it.
Let me see your IDs.
You need to get off our property.
Let me see your IDs
get
now.
Off our property.
Let me see your IDs now.
Get off our property, sir.
So you can get off our property.
Put the car in drive. Put the car in park.
No, you
see
need
your
to
ID.
get off our property.
Don't get upset.
67. Send me another unit. 51. Being uncooperative.
On our property. That's crazy what he got going on. You come pulling our property and tell us get our ID. Get off our property, man. You no trust.
Give me your ID.
No. Give me the ID. Give me the ID.
No trespass.
The car.
I ain't being detained.
Take back. Yes, you are. Until I can verify you own the property.
Verify. You done read it in my name already.
All right. Hands on your back. You're being detained right now. Hands on your back.
Drop it. Drop my phone.
Drop it. Put the phone in the car. Put the phone in the car. Drop the wallet. Hands on your back.
This is my phone.
Hands on your back. Right now, you're being detained. Okay.
I'm gonna sue you.
You have everything in your pockets that'll stick me, poke me, prod me. Any kind of weapons on you.
No, I don't.
Nothing illegal? No illegal substance? Spread your feet for me.
I'm no lawyer, but I definitely saw illegal activity that should rise to an arrest of the officer. Is this not ridiculous? Give you more, and then you can make up your own mind. Here are the details. Black Florida couple was sharing a meal inside their car on their own property when a sheriff's deputy walked up to them, demanding to know if they had the right to be there, handcuffing the Black man, as you saw, for allegedly trespassing on his own property and for talking back to a... Anyway, the altercation took place last week after Marion County Sheriff's Deputy Riley Artman drove onto the property and walked up to their car, demanding to see their identities to prove they were residents there. Used to be a time where they would have had to show their slave papers, free man papers, by law. Apparently in some parts, they're still exercising that. The couple, Freddie And Navangela Jackson refused to provide their identifications, ordering the deputy off their property. However, the deputy claimed he was conducting a criminal investigation, despite being unable to articulate a reasonable suspicion that the couple had committed a crime. Until I can verify this is your property, I'm conducting a criminal investigation. Therefore, you need to provide me with your name, the deputy said. Freddie Jackson eventually did provide his identification, which should have resolved the issue. I think that should have resolved the non-issue. But when he opened his car door to step outside, the deputy ordered him back inside, later telling the supervisor he was in fear for his safety. This is my property, Freddie Jackson responded before the deputy handcuffed him and placed him in the back of the patrol car. Freddie Jackson remained handcuffed in the back of the car for about 15 minutes before the deputy confirmed they were the real owners of the property and released him. This is outrageous. What if they were house sitting for friends? What if they were renting? I don't even get what that has to do with anything. Couple is planning on filing a lawsuit. Racial profiling, Navangela Jackson said as her husband was being released. I guess a black woman can't have a nice house. Artman claimed it was not racial profiling because he did not realize they were black. Until after he walked up. I just come on now. Until after he walked up to them, he claimed that there are frequent break-ins at homes under construction. So now you're
black people, and I thought you were.
We thought you just, you're security for these private construction sites. Okay, whatever you say. However, he was still unable to articulate a reasonable suspicion that they had committed a crime, which is usually the basis for a criminal investigation that leads to a citizen's detainment. At least it's supposed to be. Marion County property appraiser records show Navangela Jackson has owned the property since 2017. Her husband was added to the deed by 2021. What the hell does that have to do with anything? You're now no longer suspicious and you're not going to be detained because we've ascertained that you are property owners? This is all a muddy mess of nonsense. It's a bowl of nonsense, okay? It's tomfoolery. And the biggest fool is the officer who decided that he had a right to see their IDs, to enter their domain, their private property, to ask, what are you doing here? I'll let you weigh in, Jackson, but I originally thought this was a comedy. That's how these stories are getting dumber and dumber, and it's not our fault. This is a mirror, folks, of what's going on in society. Jackson?
It's like, sorry, bro, I thought you were a white dude, my bad. Like, I don't, even if you have total, like, colorless vision, you can tell that these people were not white or whatever. Then the other thing would be, well, those frequent break-ins, black people, they break into stuff. So I thought that you were gonna be, my bad, bro. But I mean, you can't always expect people to be in a totally good and cooperative mood, especially if they own their property. I mean, who knows what he was going through that day? Who knows if he was tired, if he was upset about something, if he just wanted to go inside because he had had a long shift, whatever it was, it escalated because the officer made up his mind. And wouldn't it have taken a lot less energy just in general to maybe like run his information to see, like, all right, stay here, I'm gonna go check out, and then you can go. Instead, like, nope, come with me. We're gonna put the cuffs on. We're getting you in the car right now, and then we'll check to see if possibly you're the owner. But black people be dangerous, so you gotta better safe than sorry.
Yeah. Well, this is a nincompoop move, and I'm going to tell you what would have been even easier when you are patrolling in a community where you perhaps live. You want to roll up and just kind of see what's going on in the neighborhood, get to know people? Why not roll up and say, hey, folks, don't mind me. I'm just in the neighborhood. How are you? You probably could have had a friendly conversation. They may have even offered you a bite to eat. They were eating in there. But instead, you wanted to act like a jerk off and pull jerk off moves. And now they're suing. And you deserve to be sued, but the taxpayers don't deserve to be shaken down by your nonsense and your bigotry and your lies. Okay, you knew you didn't have any suspicion, none that met the four corners of the law, none. but you did it anyway. I'll give you the last word, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a good lawsuit on their hands to sue the police department. But I think it's a good point that you made about how you can kind of roll up and help to disarm people of their suspicion or distrust of you. You know, you're the one who has the nightstick and the pepper spray and the taser and the guns and the shotgun in the car.
Back up.
And a whole precinct behind you. So, you know, if you can people are already on edge when they see you. You can diffuse them by just being cool and saying, hey, we're just kind of checking things out. But unfortunately, when you're afraid of Black people, that's not how you operate. So one step at a time, I suppose.
I think you're right. We'll leave it there. The Fox News pundits, we got to discuss them. They are complaining again. This time, it's not about the M&Ms. It's not about M&Ms. And something about high heel boot or something and the little M&M characters. This time it's about Superman being too woke. Superman being too woke. And they've had enough of all of these changes in wokeism. Here's what the folks at Fox News had to say about the new Superman movie.
James Gunn, the director of the latest reboot movie, said, quote, Superman is the story of America, an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country. But for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost.
Well, for one thing, it's a terrible analogy. I mean, with Superman, they are sending your best, you know? That's not escalator material.
I got to look at the script, and he's from Uganda. And there's a love scene with Batman and Robin.
Wow. I think the big tell is the actual actor. His name is David Cornsweet, and he said, guess he didn't change it to a better stage name. He found himself unable to say Superman's slogan, quote, truth, fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. He said, truth, justice, and all those good things. He refused to say the American way, and he's playing Superman. I don't know. We don't go to the movie theater to be lectured to and to have somebody throw their ideology onto us. I wonder if it'll be successful.
You know what it says on his cape? MS-13.
Now, we go to Fox News when we want to be lectured and have ideology thrown in our faces. Some other places too, I suspect. So Fox News took aim at the director, James Gunn, for proclaiming the latest Superman reboot as a story about an immigrant that came from other places. And some may take offense to it because the film centers on human kindness. Did he lie? Is there a lie there? I'm looking for the lie. And let's be clear. Mr. Gunn, the director, is being an activist in this creative sphere. He knows what he's doing. But I'm still looking for the lie. Amid the Trump administration's immigration crackdown and mass deportation plans, Gunn also noted that his film, quote, leans into the character's well-known backstory as an otherworldly refugee, a plot point that has been explored in Superman comics over the years. He's been otherized. And so he has this compassion, empathy. He's been otherized. When asked by the interviewer if he had considered how the film would be received in red states compared to liberal cities, Gunn acknowledged that it plays differently, that it ultimately is a story about morality. But it's about human kindness, and obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as an offensive, but just because it's all about kindness, he flatly stated, but screw them. I'm just reading the quote. Gunn's comments inevitably led right-wing pundits and Trump acolytes to predictably fly into a rage about the crappy film that they have yet to see, while urging for other conservatives to boycott it, all while parroting the standard MAGA refrain of go woke, go broke. But these critics fundamentally know little about the actual character of Superman. For example, he openly acknowledges in the comics that he himself lives in America illegally. Even in other media like the TV show Smallville, he admits this as well. We have to go through the proper legal channels. Was it legal when you forged my adoption papers? You see what I mean? Superman's not from here. The comics, even when he's given a US citizenship, renounces it because he didn't want his actions as a superhero to be construed as official US policy. Just one human being. He considers himself a hero for everyone and has protected those whom are demonized by authorities. And he's cracked down on hate groups like Nazi and the KKK. So do you understand? We had our former FBI director tell us that the biggest threat to America is this white nationalism. This is out of control. Superman is working against that. Superman's always been woke, Jackson. Superman has always been woke.
Yeah,
and I love
really.
how the Fox News pundits and others just like to spout off and change the narrative in the course of Superman's history to fit their own agenda.
Yeah, I mean, Superman has always been, really one of the wokest superheroes in terms of just like he won't hurt a fly. And honestly, that's some of why I have never really liked him in regards to that. Like, he just doesn't seem realistic to me. Like how you have so much power, but you just, you're a goody two shoes who's all about peace and justice, unless there's some red kryptonite around or something. So from that regard, Superman's always been kind of lame. So I guess, I don't know, I guess because James Gunn is, I guess he looks kind of metrosexual. So they're like, oh, no, woke, no good here. Like I don't know what it is. But at the end of the day, it's just a reflection that these people don't have anything legitimate to complain about. Especially not the Jesse Watters of the world. Like, this dude is wealthy. He gets paid millions of dollars a year to be the dumbest man on television. But yeah, Superman has always been woke in that regard. But I don't even know what else to say. Like, what else do you even say about this? Like these, Donald Trump just destroyed Medicaid. That's cool with them. That's totally fine. But no, Superman is too woke for me.
He won't say, and the American way.
Exactly.
And perhaps for good reason. But the point is, Superman didn't change. Superman has always, this may be a remake, but this has always been Superman's story. Right? He's a refugee.
Batman's the one who's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Batman's the one who got all the personal issues and can't hold down a relationship to save his life because he has to stay pissed off.
Yeah.
But Superman's just like, da-da-da-da.
Yeah. He's flying through the air with red tights and a cape.
Yeah.
And fighting for the underdog. Listen. This is what we're looking at. This is what they're doing. I want to get to some of the comments. I don't know if you guys will have had a chance to weigh in on Superman. But there's more. TYT member about the cop who, I guess they're talking about this one. We've had a few law enforcement stories on today, who rolled up on the property of these people who were minding their own business. They happen to own it, but I think that's irrelevant because he had no reason to demand their ID. Jumbo Jack says, I've never seen this in person or on video of cops doing this to white people. Well, yes, Jumbo Jack, but remember the cop in this instance says he didn't realize they were black. He just was trying to fight crime and break-ins in the neighborhood. Now, there wasn't a break-in going on. He had that on his mind. Dana Manning, you pull up on them on their property and call for backup because they're not being cooperative with your BS request? Nope. I rather enjoyed it when they repeatedly in unison, this couple, they said it together. Get off our property. Unafraid, unapologetic. You go. And the only reason they complied was he had the gun and the badge, but doesn't make him right. Nick the Silver Dragon, member for 4 months. We definitely appreciate you. Superman's thing is, yeah, he could totally take over the world and his power, but he won't because his parents raised him to be a good person, okay?
Isn't that like the wokest thing ever? Like,
I want you to be good, son.
I could dominate the world, but nah, I'm gonna save cats from trees. Like Superman has always been woke.
Always been this way.
He's always been a great guy.
He's a good guy. He's just a good guy, nitty gritty. They can shove the zero-sum game where the sun don't shine. That's all inclusive to a number of the stories we've had. Okay. Superman was promoting socialist ideas when he first debuted in the 1930s, says Barely Funky. So you see, and this is a child, so I don't hold it against them, but I was with this child, you can probably guess whose child it is, at the fish store. And I said, I'm gonna let you pick out the fish you want, but we have to know which fish go together because not all fish like to live in the same tank. And I called over the person who was tending to the fish, and they gave us a lot of beautiful information about what to do, what not to do, how this one don't like this one, and you don't want to do that. Don't overcrowd the tank. As soon as that employee turned their back, this little girl looked at me and kind of gave me a dirty look. I said, don't you want the information? She said, no, I don't want the information, mommy, okay? This is it. You don't want any of the information that could help these fish thrive at home in your brand new tank. Nope. Well, the fish died within 7 days, all of them. Horrific smell when we came back from vacation. They were gone, okay? Because she didn't have the information. The Fox people don't want this education about what Superman Jackson was doing in the 1930s promoting socialism. They don't want it.
Of course not.
And I just think that's hilarious. Don't you want information? Isn't information good?
Well, then they wouldn't be able to be willfully ignorant. Like when you expand your knowledge on things, your empathy may increase. But that's part of their privilege. They don't really have to be concerned about those types of things. They can just be a bunch of jackasses endlessly. And they make great careers out of it too. So what's really the incentive for them to change at the end of the day?
Two more comments for you. V. Brown is back and says Superman isn't taking food from their mouth, so why do you care? You didn't even see the movie, and you're already doing a segment and saying boycott it. And Shade Dragon says also Superman's planet was killed by climate change in some iterations. You remember that? He didn't have a choice. He had to leave because he got ruined. I'll give you the last word, Jackson.
Well, I'm gonna go see Superman when it comes out.
Me too.
We'll see what's up with it. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, but you never know. My concern with it is it kind of seems like there's a lot going on in one movie. But we'll see. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah, we'll see. That's reasonable. Once you see it, you'll weigh in more.
Yes.
We love you. We appreciate you. Tell people where they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. Always good to be here with you. Y'all can check me out at Politics and Paper on YouTube, and also check out this new left-wing streaming network called This Space. And I stream on there every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time. So that's 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, check out This Space. It's a new left-wing network. It's got some pretty cool people on there.
Got some traction. All right, we'll check you out. We appreciate you. Jackson White, Sharon Reed, thank you, Doc, as well, for letting us try to fill the big chair for you. We appreciate you always, and thank you for watching. We'll see you again.